Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chapter 16, Host and Microbe Interactions. And so in this chapter, we're going to talk about how microorganisms interact with humans. And so with that in mind, let's think about our interactions every single day. When you get up, you are breathing. You stand up. Take a nice big breath in, relax. You walk over to the bathroom, do your daily duties in the bathroom, maybe brush your teeth. Then you walk out and you get some coffee. Maybe you get some toast and some other food and you eat. You go outside, you grab your morning paper, which probably isn't as common as it used to be, but you're going to grab your phone, if not, maybe, and look up the news. Maybe grab your what is it called? Remote control to turn the TV on. All of those things are interactions with your environment, but they're also interactions with microorganisms. There's microbes in the air. There's microbes on food that we take in drinks that we drink, on the cups and the plates that we put our food and our drinks on. Microbes living on our skin, microbes that are moving or that get moved from one media to another medium. And so your phone is a breeding ground for multiple microbes. Your remote control, your door handle, the newspaper, all of those things are breeding grounds for microbes. It's not like there's going to be an overtaking of microbes. So when I say breeding ground, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But what I'm trying to get into your brain is that there are microbes everywhere and we're always coming in contact with them. And in general, we have no bad effects from microbes. Microbes in general are very beneficial. Those that live in and on us all the time are part of our normal flora and they actually help protect us. Some microbes can be potentially harmful, but even those that are taken in that are potential harmful microbes that come in through food or water or drink, I should say, are going to be killed in our stomach or they get eliminated when we defecate. And so there's very few that are considered pathogens, but those that are pathogens are the ones that we typically think about or focus on. So, like I said, most microbes are very beneficial and or are harmless. They may not be beneficial, but they're not causing us problems. We have microbes that live on us all the time. They're part of our normal microbiota. In fact, we are made up of more microbes than we are human cells. And these organisms don't tend to cause problems unless we become weakened with disease, if our defense mechanisms are breached in some way. And so right up here, this is a picture of bacteria that live on our skin and live in our throat. These are staph bacteria, strep bacteria. So in general, they're beneficial, but here you see an individual who has been immunocompromised because, or has had, well, it is an immunocompromisation, because they've had their layers of skin taken off, and the skin is our first line of defense. So now we don't have as good of innate defenses, and so now our adaptive defenses are going to have to start coming into play. If these microbes decide they're going to try to cause disease. And here we have an individual that's actually ill with some infection, so some internal infection, maybe a cold or something. But in both cases, if we have someone who has cold or has an internal infection, or someone who has been immunocompromised by damaging their normal defenses, they're both going to be more likely to get sick from our normal microbiota. Otherwise, our microbes, our normal microbes, benefit us. When we talk about our normal microbiota, there are two different groups. So we have some that are called resident microbiota. Oh, wow. That was not supposed to happen. Sorry. Some that are called resident microbiota. These are organisms that live in us, live on us, and they stay with us for long periods of time. And then we have microbes that are transient. So they're going to be with us for a short period of time. Maybe they are more common during certain periods of our life, like during puberty or during menopause or during infancy and childhood. But these organisms are very important to our overall health of the body. So let's look at a term known as symbiosis. Symbiosis is an association of two or more different species. That's the term symbiosis. That's all it means. Two organisms living together. Now, we can have symbiotic organisms that are called ectosymbionts, and we can have symbiotic organisms that are called endosymbionts. An ectosymbiont is an organism, wow, that sounded funny, is an organism that lives on another organism. So they live outside, they live typically are latched onto the organism, like the staph Lococcus aureus that lives on our skin. An endosymbiont then is an organism that lives inside of another organism. And so that would be like the E. coli that live in our gut. Another example of an ectosymbiont is, and this would be not a beneficial relationship, but it's still a symbiotic relationship, are lice living on the hair of a human. That would be an example of an ectosymbiont. Ticks are another ectosymbiont. And here we have an endosymbiont. So this is a fetus living on mom by the placenta. And so both are symbiotic relationships. They're different types. Here's ecto and here's endo. So there are different types of interactions then when we talk about symbiotic relationships. Some symbiotic relationships are beneficial and some are detrimental and some don't really cause any problems. And so let's look at mutualism and cooperation. In both of those cases, both organisms benefit. So with mutualism, they both benefit greatly. When you talk about cooperation, you're looking at maybe a smaller plus versus that large plus. In this case, you're cooperating with the other. And so instead of getting, 12 acorns, you're only going to take 6 so that they can also take 6. So you're benefiting each other because you're both cooperating with each other, but you're not getting the full benefit of all the acorns. Then we have commensalism. Commensalism occurs when one organism benefits, the other organism doesn't benefit and is not harmed by the relationship. So an organism that maybe is jumping on and getting a ride from one environment to another environment, that would be a commensalist. In our body, there are different organisms that are considered commensalistic, but I would almost argue that they are mutualistic because they're actually causing a benefit to us by living there and keeping pathogens from growing. And then, of course, we have parasitism and predation. So in parasitism, an organism is, and in predation, an organism is benefiting at the expense of another organism. With parasitism, the organism is living in or on a host and causing harm to that host. In predation, an organism is killing the other organism so that he can gain nutrients. Typically with parasitism, we're not killing the host because we want the host to survive so that we can survive if we're the parasite. So let's look at examples of mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism as is seen by the human body. So mutualistic, both partners benefit. And so an example is the coli in our gut help us to synthesize vitamins K and B, which then we can absorb. Bacteria then are given warmth, protection, and nutrients. Commensalism, microbes living on our skin are not harmful nor helpful. But like I said, again, they're living on our skin, and then pathogens can't live on our skin. They can't gain a stronghold. And then parasitism, any pathogen is considered a parasite. Typically when we think of parasites, though, we're looking at medical, or we're looking at eukaryotic organisms like protozoans and helminths. Those are the organisms most medical microbiologists will call parasites. But any organism that is gaining the benefit at the expense of another, which would be any pathogen at all, would be considered a parasite. I'm going to stop here, and we're still talking about normal microbiota, but I'm going to stop because this has been a 12-minute video, and we'll get into our next video talking about the protective role of our normal flora. Okay, bye.